What's up, guys? Blake Harris with the Haven Event Space back at you here for episode 4, technically 5, of how to build a wedding and event venue. We're very excited to be sharing with you today. I've got some really awesome stuff we're going to cover. So today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the business side of things. In our previous videos, we've talked about why we decided to do what we wanted to do, how we started coming up with our plans, hiring our architect, our builder, getting financed. Our last video was way in depth about how we actually began the physical work of finding the builder, finding the architect, and finding the funding for our project. So if you haven't seen that video yet, go back and watch episode 3. But today we're going to talk a little bit more of the business side of things. So how we got things set up and running inside the walls of the Haven Event Space, or I guess you could call them invisible walls, because the construction is still happening right now and we aren't completed yet. So we are really excited. Construction's going great. Just a quick update for you guys. We are currently framing the building. The roof is going on. We're really excited. We are on track. We are scheduled to be finished right at the end of September, which is horrifying because our first event is actually October 16th. So we are... You know what? We have faith. We're excited. Things are going well. It rained for about 9 days straight here in Kansas a couple weeks ago, and it got into a muddy mess, and it slowed us down, but it is beautiful and sunny, and the property is looking great, so we're really excited about everything going on. So I'll have some more project update videos coming for you soon. We've got a few of those posted, so if you want to go check those out, check out our channel as well. Just a reminder, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. Follow our journey. We're really excited about everything going on here at the Haven Event Space. Things are going really, really well. I'm excited to share some updates with you guys today in regards to the business side of things for us, specifically bookings of weddings, which is really exciting. You know, this has been a long process and a dream of ours for a long time, and you know, finally seeing that dream come to fruition and seeing the vision that we've had turn into actual dollars in the bank account is really cool. It's a neat feeling, you guys, and so I'm excited to share with you some of those updates today, but there's a lot that led up to that, and so I want to dive into things by starting off talking about establishing the business itself. So, you know, we talked in our previous video about getting financing and things, but before we even did all that, I wanted to go back and touch on a topic that I forgot to do before, which was setting up the business entity itself. So we are in the state of Kansas, in the United States. We opted to set up an LLC for our business, and that stands for a limited liability corporation. We are going to be transitioning our business to an S corporation here fairly shortly, and that's just for tax advantages. I am certainly not a tax person. In fact, I pay a company to do all of our income tax and business taxes, so I highly recommend that you speak with a tax professional on what type of taxing you should do for your business. But we are currently an LLC, transitioning to an S corporation, mainly because of the revenue that we have and will be generating with our venue. First and foremost, the LLC. So when we established our LLC, we did 2 separate LLCs, and the reason we did that was simply for protection for Abby and I, my wife. We wanted to make sure that our personal assets were safe. You know, when you are building an event business that you are hosting hundreds and hundreds of people for events multiple times a week at your venue, that's the goal, right? You want to make sure that you are protected, because accidents happen, right? And you know, and they will happen, and that's okay, but you want to make sure that you're safe and that your family is safe and that your assets outside of the business are safe. So for us, this is what we did. Again, recommend you talk to a lawyer, you know, a corporate lawyer, or even a personal family lawyer in regards to setting up what's best for you and your family. But for us, we did 3 things. Number 1, we put all of our personal assets into a trust. The trust for us is more for if anything happens to Abby and I, our assets and our you know, business and home and all that will be controlled by a trust and can be taken care of responsibly by whomever we have designated to take care of that on the back end. So that was what we decided to do. Then we created 2 LLCs. We had a separate lawyer who does business law set up 2 LLCs for us, and you can actually set up your own LLCs online. We chose to pay a lawyer because, again, tying in our trusts and stuff, we want to make sure it was done right. I think, just for those of you that are asking, we paid around $2,500 to have our trust and both of our LLCs set up. So it wasn't bad overall in the grand scheme of things. This is something you'll want to do very early on, and you can do. We did this 3 years ago before we were even funded for the loan or knew exactly what we we were doing. In fact, we didn't have the land bought when we did all this. And that's a good thing, because the first LLC we set up is called the Haven Properties LLC. And that LLC is the LLC that owns the land that the Haven Event Space will be built on. So we did that because, again, as a property, there are accidents that could happen, and we didn't want someone driving by who had an accident that affected our property to be able to come after our venue when it was something having to do with the property, right? So we set up an LLC there, and then we set up a second LLC called the Haven Event Space LLC, and that one is the business entity itself. That's the venue. So the venue actually leases land from the Haven Properties LLC every year, and then pays a fee, and then that obviously is filed in our taxes in some way. And again, I don't quite understand all the intricacies of that. I'm not a tax professional, but that's how we set it up. And then ultimately, if anything were to happen at the Haven Event Space during an event, and someone were to sue us, God forbid, we have our contract that protects us. We'll talk about that later today. But we also have that LLC that is then backed by another LLC that is then backed by our trust before they could ever come after my wife and I. So multiple layers of protection, honestly impossible to get to us from a personal asset standpoint. So very, very important making sure you guys are protected and safe in everything you do for your business entity. So that's my first tip for today, is set up an LLC. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about today is market research. So we talked briefly on this when we were talking about writing your business plan in the last video. Market research is a really important part of establishing what you want your venue to look like in your market. And every single market's going to be different. I'm getting a lot of comments lately from people asking, where'd you hire your architect, or how did you choose the land? By the way, I've responded to all of those comments. So if you left a comment or you're curious on some of those questions, be sure to go read the comments on previous videos, because I respond to every single one of them. But the purpose of talking about market research is every single market is different, and you have to do the research in your area to find out what's best for you. And there's different places out there that you can go to do research, but ultimately it's as simple as looking at other venues. I started doing some quote-unquote undercover shopping, if you will. I have a friend who happened to be getting married, and I said, hey, I'm interested in you getting information on this venue, this venue, this venue, and this venue. 4 of the competitors in the area that I felt like were similar to my venue, maybe in size, capacity, amenities, location, things like that. And I wanted to know what they were offering. How much are they charging? What's their capacity? What amenities do they offer? What does their business look like? And I basically took that information, and I liked some things, I didn't like some things, and I made my decision on what I wanted to run my business like based on the information that I was able to collect. So that's something that you have to do based on your market. So I highly recommend that you go out and do some research and do some secret shopping. And one thing I'll say, and I said this in a previous video as well, the vendor community, the wedding community as a whole in Kansas City is unbelievable, you guys. And so it's as simple as you connecting with that. Hopefully there's a community in your market. Connect with that community and start asking questions. One of the things I did early on in our planning and actually design process of our building is I hosted a vendor forum where I invited wedding vendors from Kansas City to come into a Zoom meeting with me, and I talked all about my plans, what I was planning on doing, charging, amenities, features, layout of the building, all that stuff. I had photographers, videographers, I had a caterer, I had a florist, I had a bunch of different types of vendors in there. What was awesome was I was able to get feedback from all different perspectives of people that have been in the industry for years. One of the best caterers in Kansas City was in that forum, and they gave me so much crucial information that I changed a lot of details as far as the business plan goes for my venue so that I would be more in line with some of the other top venues in Kansas City, things I didn't even think about doing. And it was all just because that caterer was in my forum. So I highly recommend doing something like that. Again, the community's great, and you'll probably be pleasantly surprised at how willing they are to give you information. Even other venues, we have another venue a few miles down the road from us, and we've become great friends with the owners. They actually opened this spring, so they're about a year ahead of us, but they have had some struggles. They've had some victories, and we've been watching, and they call us for advice, and we have watched their wins and losses as well. And it's been a really rewarding experience for us having that relationship because, again, we're learning through their experiences. And what better way to do that than build a relationship? And here's the thing, guys. Someone may say, well, how are you friends with a venue 4 miles down the road? It's called being a good human being. There's no competition, because at the end of the day, as a venue, you guys, there's only one October 14th. If I have a bride that's already booked that date, they're going to have to find another venue. And I would love to recommend them to another venue that I trust, that I know the owners are amazing and that they're going to take care of that client. There's only one day there's only one Saturday each Saturday, if that makes sense. Like, I can only book one wedding, so that's not competitive. I think a lot of times venues think, oh, we can't talk to other venues because it's a big competition and I got to beat them. I mean, yeah, a little bit, but that's going to come in your quality. That's going to come in the design of your building and the amenities you offer and your pricing. At the end of the day, if you book the date, you book the date, and having those relationships and being able to refer them to other places is going to be a big reward for not only you, but it looks really good on your business as well. And that's something that we've seen a lot. We've had other venues refer people to us, and I've referred people to other venues, and you're going to see that when you open yours as well. So after starting my market research, I started putting together what I would call my rough draft of what my business was going to be looking like. And that was my pricing, my offerings, my amenities. So let's talk through some of the things that The Haven offers. And I highly recommend you check out thehaveneventspace.com. It's our website. I personally designed that website, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later today. But the offerings as a whole, our pricing, we decided to price ourselves a little bit lower than our competitors in the market. And honestly, the reason we did that is because we felt like we really wanted to hit our goal the first year in business, and we felt by going ahead and pricing ourselves a little lower that we would sell out and then we could raise our prices next year. Again, I have some exciting news I'll be telling you at the end of this video, but I can tell you that's a good idea. Pricing yourself a little lower is a good idea. We did a grand opening pricing for our venue. So for the first full year in business, fall of 2021 and all of 2022, we had our pricing about 30% lower than where we're going to be in 2023. So for example, if you check out our website, Fridays and Sundays we're at $4,500 and Saturdays we're at $6,000. But in 2023, our price goes to $6,000 on Fridays and Sundays and $8,000 on Saturdays. So we actually are raising our prices because of the demand of our venue, and again, the quality of what we're offering compared to our competitors. The other venue that I mentioned earlier in the video down the road, their pricing is quite a bit higher than ours. And I'm okay with that because their venue is a little bit stylistically different, and they are attracting a little bit different of a client than I'm trying to attract. So at the end of the day, you're going to figure out what works best for your business and ultimately what you need to cover your overhead, right? You're going to have monthly mortgages, utilities, payroll, things like that. You're going to have to make a certain amount of money, and you need to sit down and figure out what that number is going to look like. For us, I'm estimating about $20,000 a month in overhead. That's going to include our mortgage, utilities, payroll, benefits, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a pretty rough estimate. Again, I really don't know, but I figured, okay, if it's $20,000, if I can do 2 weddings for 10 grand each, then that covers my overhead, and everything above and beyond that is profit. And it sounds so simple. There's a lot more to that, obviously, but that's kind of how my mind worked when I was putting together my numbers. And you'll do all this when you're creating what's called your sales projections for the bank when you're going to get your loan. But ultimately, that's where it all started, is doing the market research and finding out what I wanted. On the other side of that, we started thinking about what we wanted to offer as amenities. So in the beginning, we were just going to offer the venue with tables and chairs and call it a day. We figured providing a great space with great lighting, great sound, and great furniture would be enough for our brides. But as I started doing research, I realized almost every single one of our competitors was offering a bar package option. And I was a little nervous about that because I personally don't drink alcohol. I just never have growing up, and so I don't know a lot about it. And so it was nerve-wracking for me to try to figure out how to do bar packages and like what even would I offer and what's that going to look like cost-wise. But again, based on my research, I went out online and started looking at some of these other venues and what are they offering and how are they charging. And I thought, if it's working for them, why wouldn't it work for me? And here's the big kicker, you guys. A lot of the money comes from the liquor in both restaurants and entertainment. And so I realized that by adding the liquor element to our venue, yeah, there's a few extra hoops I have to jump through. My liability insurance is going to go up. I have to get a liquor license, which is super easy, by the way, and a lot of other things. But at the end of the day, the profit margins were going to be so much higher, and I felt like the cost and the reward were going to be, the cost was less than the reward, right? So at the end of the day, that's what we decided to do. In the beginning of our business plan, there was no alcohol. After a while, now there's alcohol. Go look at our website. We have bar packages on there. So how did I come up with those bar packages? It again goes back to watching what other venues are doing and creating off them. I actually found a venue in Kansas City that had a really cool way that they did their bar package. I love how they labeled them. 3 different tiers tiers, bronze, silver, gold, set price for unlimited drinks for 4 hours, broken down a certain way. Guess what I did? I copied and I pasted. That's all I did. I just copied what they did and pasted it on our website, changed the font to match our font, and that's it. You know, that's as simple as it was. And you know what? No one's ever going to know except you guys. Just promise not to tell anybody. So really excited about the bar package side of things because it's such a profit. It's going to be a huge profit machine for the venue. And honestly, almost every single wedding that we booked so far has booked a bar package. We even did a minor, what we call a minor bar package, which is unlimited soda, water, and lemonade for $5. We opted to spend a little bit of extra money up front and put in a fountain machine for our bar, so a soda machine with 5 different flavors: Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, Dr. Pepper, Fanta, and lemonade. And that allows us to do, non-alcoholic beverage service as well. And so those weddings that maybe don't have alcohol, I can still make a few $100 on just soda. Because how much easier is it for a bride and groom to just pay me $5 a guest than to go to Costco and buy 550,000 pounds of soda? Like, that's not fun for anybody to have to carry around. So honestly, every single person that we booked has booked either a non-alcoholic or an alcoholic bar package. So that's been great. On top of the bar packages, we also have 2 additional offerings. We offer a photo booth. So I knew, again, my background is in technology, so I love audio, video, lighting. If you can't tell, like every time I do a video, I try to do a cool, different background for you guys. This is my new studio that I just built here in my basement, and I love this kind of stuff. And so I thought creating an environment at a wedding for a photo booth would be really cool, and it can't be that expensive. Well, naturally, because I am the person that I am, I went out and found the most expensive photo booth I could possibly find. It costs about as much as a small car. But at the end of the day, this photo booth is incredible, you guys. It's a 6-foot tall glass mirror. It's touchscreen. It prints texts and emails. It's super easy to run. And we decided that we would offer that as an add-on to our wedding packages for $750 an event. And guess what? Almost every single event has booked that photo booth. I can comfortably tell you that it has more than paid for itself, and I haven't even opened the venue yet. The photo booth is actually sitting in my living room right now, so that's really exciting. And I recommend, if you have a venue today and you're watching our channel, maybe go add something like that just to spice your venue up, give a little bit of an additional benefit for clients. You know, they're going to usually have some sort of an entertainment option anyway for their guests. Why not have it through you and you make the money? You know, I found that other companies in Kansas City renting this exact photo booth charged between $2,000 and $3,000 for a 5-hour rental because of how cool this photo booth is. I charge $750 for the whole day. Who isn't going to want to add that to their package when they're already spending 10, 15 grand at your venue? $750 is nothing, you know? And so that's what we decided to do, and it's been a great option for us. And honestly, it's going to add so much to the weddings that we're hosting, you know? And that's what I'm really excited about, because we're giving the clients and their guests something that they can take home that has our name on it. How awesome is that? It's branding. And that's one of the things I'm going to dive into a little bit later here today. We have a couple other amenities at the Haven as well. We did do a really cool, we have a cool exit vehicle option that guests can add to their rental. And that's just because, we thought it would be neat for guests that maybe didn't want to have a limo to offer a cool car that they could get basically chauffeured away in back to their final destination. So we have that. And then we also do a service called a decor dump. And this is actually an idea that I had that you guys are totally welcome to steal. I thought it would be cool to basically offer to buy decor off of our clients that we see at their weddings that we think is really cool. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, pretty much every bride spends a lot of time, and groom spends a lot of time creating and deciding what they're going to have to decorate their venue. Centerpieces, signage, floral, linens, hangings, all different stuff. There's literally a never-ending, amount of creativity that goes into the decorations in a venue. So I thought, I don't want to be the one to think of what I need to buy ahead of time if I want to offer decor to my clients as an add-on. But what I can do is I can start buying it from our clients and then have it as an add-on going forward. So that's what we're doing. So we offer what's called a decor dump. So clients have cool stuff during the day of their event. I'll walk around, I'll create a proposal based on things I like, and I'll say, hey, I'll give you $12 for this centerpiece, or $18 for this sign, or whatever for this cross. And basically I'll offer to buy that decor off of them for my first couple years. I'll do that as much as I can through all my events. So that way I'm building an inventory at the Haven. So there's a couple ways that could go. Some venues could choose to now charge for that inventory and say, hey, you can get access to our inventory. We rent vases for a few dollars, or this floral for this price, or whatever. At the Haven, I decided I wanted to make it an amenity of our venue. So what I decided to do was all the decor that we're going to be purchasing over the next couple years, we're going to offer to all of our clients at no additional cost if they book our venue. So what that says to them is, wow, if I book the Haven, not only do I get this awesome venue, I get these awesome amenities. They have a really cool photo booth. They have a vehicle I can use instead of paying for a limo, and they have decor that I can use for free. This is a huge win. There may be a venue down the road that's a little bit nicer, a little bit better, which there won't be. I'm trying to be the best. But these are just things that I think will help win over our clients. And so this is something, maybe if you're an established venue and you're trying to spice things up, this is something you can do to maybe spice yourself up, is start offering some decor add-ons. Give clients a reason to want to choose you. Clients aren't always going to choose the venue. I say this lightly. They're not always going to choose the venue based on the way it looks. A lot of it's about how the venue makes them feel. Is it taking stress off their shoulders? Do they feel like they're doing business with someone that really cares about them and their event and going to make it go smooth? That's what I'm trying to do for them at the Haven. I want to make sure they know that I care, I love them, I appreciate them, and I'm going to bend over backwards to make every single element of their day perfect. And that is a huge part of, I think, why we're booking the way we're booking. So let's talk a little bit about the branding of the Haven event space. So this was something that I think every business has to establish at some point, and that is a brand. In the beginning, we decided to design a logo. I designed our logo myself, as you see here on my shirt. I went through a few different options, and I have a few friends that are in design, and so I sent them over some ideas and said, do you like any of these? In fact, had them send back some concepts, and ultimately we landed on this logo. We felt like it was simplistic, it was modern, but it still conveyed that we're an upscale venue. So that's kind of where we landed. And then we started putting that logo on everything. Business cards, mouse pad, coffee cups, anything we could get our hands on that we could put a logo on, shirts, for example. That starts creating what's called a brand for your business. And obviously having a brand is really important because that ultimately is how people are going to recognize you. We also came up with the name, the Haven Event Space, because we wanted people to know that our venue was going to be a place where they could come to feel peace and to feel safe and have an event with us that they're not going to have to worry. Again, it comes back to, like I said a minute ago, everything will be taken care of. If something goes wrong, don't stress. We got you. At the Haven, we've got you. And that's what we wanted the brand to represent whenever we created that identity. So after we've started creating the brand, the name, the logo, things like that, the next step is obviously to create a website. So we ultimately decided that, I did reach out to a couple different website creation companies, and they are very, very expensive. The quotes I got were anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 to build a website for our venue. And at the time, I didn't really have that kind of money. I had dumped all the money that we had into buying the land and paying our architect so we could, obviously start construction. But I needed to get a website so clients could find us and find out information about us. So I just started doing my research and said, how do I build a website? I've never done that before, but ultimately I personally landed on Wix. And this is not a paid advertisement for Wix. This is just the site that I happen to use, and I've had a great experience. I built our website, thehaveneventspace.com, on there. I use their SEM and SEO services. I use their capture forms to email me with client info when they submit inquiries. I use their chat feature. I use their calendar integration. I use a lot of the things that Wix offers, and it, again, just made my life easier. It's been a work in progress. That's a big thing I want to let you guys know. The version of the website you see today is not the version of the website that I launched well over a year ago. I'm constantly making updates to it, and that was a good thing for me with Wix, was I was able to go in and make edits on the fly. So if I change my pricing or if I add bar packages or whatever, I could go in and make a change super quick, and it worked really well. Now, with Wix, you get an SEM and SEO optimization built into your package, and some of you may say, what the heck is that? SEM is search engine marketing, and SEO is search engine optimization. So marketing is something you're paying for. Optimization is something that happens through the way you design your website. Wix does a really good job of using keyword optimization. When you create, it tells you where to type in the keywords you want so that your website is created and shows up when people search certain words. But then ultimately you can pay to have sponsored ads to definitely show up when people search certain words. So that was what we did. We did both. We are advertising in several places for the Haven. So I advertise on Facebook. I have about a $300 budget for an ad that I run. The $300 budget usually lasts me about 90 days, so it's not very expensive in the grand scheme of marketing. I have a Google ad that I run, so if you search the Haven event space, you'll see a sponsored ad pop up at the top, especially in the Kansas City market. And we also run a Facebook ad that generates leads for us based on anyone that's interested in bridal or has recently gotten engaged, things like that in the Kansas City area. We have targeted advertising through Facebook as well. Facebook obviously ties in with Instagram, and so Instagram gets those ads complimentary with the Facebook budget. So altogether, you can find the Haven not only on Google, but also through our website, through Facebook, through Instagram. We've also set up a Yelp page just because that's obviously a good place to have a page. We're not advertising there, but that's what we did just to kind of establish our brand. And then ultimately, I made the decision after really putting a lot of thought into it that I felt like it was important for us to be on the Knot and Wedding Wire. That is a decision that every venue has to make. It is very expensive, but at the end of the day, it's a cost versus reward scenario. Like, is the cost greater than the reward? And in my case, it was not. The cost was very low compared to the reward that I was seeing. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about our bookings here shortly, but ultimately, the Knot and Wedding Wire has been very good for us. We signed up for their basic package. I think we're paying right around $1,000 a month for that, which is very expensive. But again, if I generate one lead and book a $15,000 wedding, then I've literally paid for the entire year of that service in one lead. And I can tell you, I've booked many, many, many more than one lead from the non-Wedding Wire. So, you have to decide what can you do now and when should you do it. That's a decision you have to make. But ultimately, advertising is an important part of owning a venue. So you have to do that. Now, another part of advertising that has come up that I have chosen not to do is local bridal shows. That's something that's very popular in the wedding industry. The bridal shows, the engagement shows, things like that. Again, you can purchase booths, you can set up and do things to advertise your venue there. I personally have been to those before. In fact, I went to one earlier this year and walked around as a guest, not as a vendor. And I wanted to see, are other vendors here? Are other venues here? And what are they doing? And I saw 2 venues in the Kansas City market at the show I went to. There are hundreds of venues in Kansas City, so that says something. If most venues are not there, why? And so ultimately, we've decided not to advertise with local magazines and or wedding shows at this time because we just don't need that particular avenue of exposure. We're getting enough exposure through our online marketing and our Knot and Wedding Wire marketing. The last thing that I think is really important from a portion of marketing and branding that I forgot to mention earlier was an elevator pitch. This is something you really need to get down early on in the creation of your business. And an elevator pitch is basically, let's say you walk into an elevator, you have 1 minute as the elevator goes to your floor to explain to the person that's standing in there, what is your business? So for us, the Haven Event Space is a private wedding and event venue set on 40 acres. We have an amazing indoor and outdoor wedding space with a party patio, brides and groom suite, caterers, kitchen, and we've created a space that's tranquil and that's beautiful, that has built-in lighting, sound, state-of-the-art technology, and we want to host some of the best events that will be some of the best days of people's lives. That is our elevator pitch, and everybody's elevator pitch is going to be different. And so I think an elevator pitch should be short, concise. It needs to include, obviously, a few of the things that set you apart from your competitors, but ultimately, it needs to be you. It needs to explain you and your business as part of your brand, So on our website, you'll find our elevator pitch as about us. You'll find our elevator pitch on our ads that are running on Facebook and on Instagram. I only have a couple lines to describe the Haven and who we are. So that is what we use for those ads, is our elevator pitch. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about today is our contract. This is a big, big, big part of a venue's business, is the contract. Our contract at the Haven is actually close to 13 pages long, and that sounds horrifying, but I felt like there was a lot of information that I wanted to make sure our clients knew, and I chose to take the transparent route. A lot of venues, in fact, I rented a venue for an event I did a couple years ago, and there was a 1-page document with 4 bullets that I had to sign, and that was their contract. That to me is very scary, because if something were to happen and someone were to try to come after that venue, they have no leg to stand on in a legal stance. So for us, we wanted to make sure that we did everything right, and we want to set our expectations on the front end for our clients, and we don't want anyone to think we're trying to hide anything or out to get them on the back end. If something goes wrong, what's going to happen? That's all outlined in our contract. What are our rules? What do we allow? What do we not allow? How does this contract work? Things like that, cancellations, date changes, bad weather, everything you can think of in regards to renting a venue is in our contract. So you may be thinking, I don't even know where to start to write that. Great, neither did I. Guess what I did? I went out online and I Googled wedding event venue contract, and I found other venues and I found their contracts, and guess what I did? I copied and I pasted and I basically took their contract and made it mine. And then, obviously after I did all the tweaks to fit our venue, I did send it to our business attorney and I said, will you look this over and make sure that everything here is upstanding and legal? And it basically protects us. Is there anything you recommend that you think I'm missing or not missing? And ultimately, got it all cleared. It was good to go. So we uploaded that contract into our CRM. And now when a client goes to book a meeting or a wedding with us or any event with us, we send that contract electronically. They can electronically sign it and then submit their payment right to us for their deposit. And that's very simple, and that's how it works. So don't stress out about the contract. Definitely do your research. Go out there. There's plenty of resources online on finding wedding contracts, and ultimately you can always fall back on hiring a business attorney to help you create and write a contract. But the biggest thing is more is better. The more you can put into your contract is better. It protects you, and again, if anything arises, all parties know what to expect because it's all been outlined on the front end of this contract, and that is going to protect you and protect your client, which is the most important part. So I mentioned a minute ago that we use a CRM to send our contract to our clients. And that's the next thing I want to talk about today is the way that we manage our customers. CRM is a customer relationship management software. This is not a paid advertisement, by the way. Everything I'm going to talk about today is just my personal opinion, what's worked for us and what we use. There's a lot of great softwares out there for venues for customer relationship management, but ultimately I picked the one that I felt best represented us as a brand, but also had all the features and amenities that we needed built into the software as the best choice for us. So we ultimately decided to go with HoneyBook. I have included my referral link in the description of the video below. HoneyBook does give a referral to businesses that are currently using it that have a new client sign up. You don't have to use my referral link, but if you do, great. HoneyBook has been a really big blessing for us though. So we use HoneyBook for every single aspect of our client relationship. So from the moment a client submits an inquiry on our website, that capture form is actually integrated to HoneyBook. So when they submit that form, it goes to our customer relationship management software. We can then see that it sends us an email. We see that inquiry. We then have default automated emails set up. So when a client submits an inquiry, it sends them an automated email depending on the type of event they're inquiring. Most events are obviously weddings, so it sends them an email saying, thank you so much for reaching out. We'd love to host your wedding at the Haven Event Space. Here's a brochure with all of our pricing and amenities and frequently asked questions. Please let us know if you'd like to schedule a tour. So we have that email set up automated, so anytime someone submits an inquiry, they immediately get that back. And it's branded looking like it's coming from me, which it is. It's me that set up that automation and me that set up that software, but I get a lot of leads every week. And so having a software that can manage that is very important because I still work a full-time job. I'm working 40 hours a week during the week at a regular job. So all the leads that are coming in and the tours that we're doing, I'm doing outside regular business hours by myself. Now, we did recently hire a venue coordinator that's going to be starting this fall right when the venue opens. But for now, I'm still doing everything alone. So this software has honestly saved my life. It's been a huge resource, not only in keeping the leads managed, but also keeping everything organized because there's managing people through different stages. So we have a workflow built out in HoneyBook. We have automations built through different stages that show you where the customer or where the client is sitting at and what stage. We use HoneyBook to manage every single interaction with our client. Every email that goes back and forth, the contracts, the deposits, the payments, payments, all of that goes through this software, and it has honestly made our life so simple. I highly recommend you use a software like this if you're not. And the best part is it was only a couple $100 for a whole year. It was really cost effective, and it's been such a blessing for us. So I hope it's a good fit for you, and if so, again, my referral link for that is down in the description of this video. So the next thing I want to talk about is our preferred vendors list. So part of setting up our business was establishing relationships with other vendors in the market, and for us that was caterers, photographers, florists, limo companies, cake decorators, food trucks, planners, coordinators, DJs, bands. I mean, there's so many different hotels. There's so many different types of vendors in the wedding industry, and the list goes on and on and on. And the reality is most brides and grooms don't even know where to start. So as a venue, you are usually the first person that they book. And so one of the things that we've done at The Haven to provide a good experience for our clients is we've created a preferred vendors list. And I used the network that I had, as well as some of the vendors that were in that forum that I was talking about earlier in this video, to basically create a list of a list of vendors that we recommend to our clients. Now, we opted to do one thing more, and that was we spent time negotiating with those vendors. What will you do for my clients if I send them to you? So we basically require all of our preferred vendors to give our clients some sort of a discount. And that is certainly not a requirement. We don't take any kickbacks or cuts from that. But what we do is we want to give our clients a good experience. And so by us saying, hey, here's a great florist. You may never have heard of her. Her name's Nicole. She's giving 15% off all of her services just because you're a Haven bride. That's a really cool experience to be able to tell our clients that we have this discount already pre-established. A big one for us has been hotel room blocks. I found the nicest, closest hotels, and I negotiated a room block with them at the guaranteed lowest market rate with a free breakfast the next morning already built in. So our clients don't have to call and set up their own room blocks. They just call, mention they're getting married at the Haven, and the hotel manager will set them up under that date at their guaranteed lowest market rate. It makes their lives so much easier. I even took it one step further, and I set up a shuttle service, and I found a limo company with a van, a bus, a trolley, and a limo bus, and I got prices on all four of them if they were to shuttle those guests from the hotel to our venue back and forth all day long. What would that look like? I did all that work for our clients on the front end. Again, I'm giving them reasons to choose the Haven that makes their life easier. Can they trust me as a business owner because of the work that I'm putting in to earn their business? And the answer is yes. We're seeing a really great response to this particular preferred vendors brochure, and it's a living document. We're always adding people to it. We allow people that we know and trust to be in that brochure, and we have a one strike done policy. If we have a vendor that burns one of our clients in any way, we will remove them from that brochure, regardless of the discount that they're giving our clients, because we have a reputation to uphold. And if I'm recommending people to these businesses, it reflects back on me what the experience my clients have with those vendors looks like. And so ultimately, the preferred vendors brochure is going to be a work in progress over the next year, especially as we open. A lot of our vendors have already booked several of our clients, so we'll see how those experiences go ultimately on the wedding day. All right, so as we get towards the end of the video here, I want to talk about a couple final things. So for us, the next thing I want to talk about is tours. And in the beginning, obviously, we don't have a building. So how are we doing tours at the Haven Event Space today? So all of our clients are inquiring online. We are sending them that automated we're sending them that automated brochure through Honeybook, like I talked about earlier. If they decide that the Haven is a good fit, usually they'll email or text back and say, hey, we're interested in setting up a tour. Great. I respond back and say, awesome. We are actually under construction. Will be a brand new venue opening this fall. I'd love to set up a Zoom call with you to walk through some of the details of your event and what we offer here at the Haven, our pricing, amenities, frequently asked questions, floor plans, renderings, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll see if it's a good fit for you. So that's how we've been doing all of our tours. I've probably done, I would guess, 75 or 80 Zoom calls over the last couple months with clients, basically just explaining the value of the Haven and what we have and what would be the benefit of booking with us. And so I'm selling our clients, and I'm basically casting a vision. I mean, there's no building yet. I can show the renderings that you guys have seen. I can show, floor plans and talk about amenities and pricing, but ultimately I'm spinning the dream and I'm selling myself, and that's a really hard part of opening a venue and building from the ground up is there's no tangible product to show these clients. So you have to sell the clients on you. Why do they trust you to book you for their venue? And that has been a challenging but also a very rewarding experience for me. I've learned a lot. I've fallen and I've gotten back up, and I've made mistakes and I've fixed them. But ultimately, it's been really, really awesome. And we've had a really good time getting to know our clients. And by doing these Zoom calls, I'm actually getting to build a friendship with these people. Like, not only do I do the Zoom call, we do invite them for a site tour to tour the construction site after the Zoom call. And everybody that books, we follow them on Instagram and I watch their stories, and I feel like I'm a part of their lives. And as their wedding date approaches, I'm seeing them go and get their dress and, invite their bridesmaid and groomsmen to be in the wedding party. And that's a really cool feeling. So I've really enjoyed getting to know our clients and building those relationships. But ultimately, it all comes back to how we establish that initial client-vendor relationship. So for me, I wanted it to be intimate. I wanted it to be face-to-face. And I didn't want to just send a template email and say, let me know if you want to schedule a meeting. No, I get on the phone with every single client, and I call them and I say, hey, I saw you submitted an inquiry. I wanted to set up a time to talk to you over Zoom. When's a good time? And then we get on the Zoom call and I spend time getting to know them. Who are you? How long have you guys been engaged? How did you meet? Tell me your story. I get to know them as people, and that shows them that I care, because I truly do care about each and every one of these brides and grooms, because ultimately I want them to have the very best wedding day. And that is something that I can convey to them while we're having these meetings face to face, even though they're over Zoom. And the other part of using a virtual meeting like this, the benefit of it is I can do multiple meetings in a row. So, most nights I'm doing 2, 3, 4 video meetings back to back to back, which is really awesome because I can be really productive since I'm still working during the day. So a couple last things here. The next one is money management. I just wanted to make a quick note about this. As you start to book and take deposits for your venue, it's very important that you manage your money properly. And one thing that I didn't think about when I first started that has become very, very apparent today is I'm taking a security deposit as part of their deposit to hold their date. It's a $1,000 refundable security deposit that is for incidentals at their event. It's part of our contract that we talked about earlier. That $1,000 is held by us, the venue, and at the end of their event, if there's no damage or unpaid fees at their event, then we will refund that security deposit back to them within 14 days. But as we've started booking events, there's been a lot of deposits coming in, and here's what we had to be careful of. We realized that that money was sitting in our bank account, and it's very tempting to think, oh, we've got all this money sitting there, but we don't actually have that money sitting there because it's a refundable deposit, meaning we're going to be giving it back to those clients, so we can't spend it. And you don't want to accidentally spend it and forget, oh gosh, I didn't mean to do that, just thinking that you have that money in your account. So we highly recommend setting up a separate bank account for deposits. So every time our client makes their deposit, they pay 50% of the venue rental. None of their amenities are added into that, plus the security deposit. So for a Saturday wedding, it's $6,000. They would pay $3,000 plus the $1,000 security deposit, so $4,000 total to hold their date. The $3,000 goes into our standard checking, and the $1,000 goes into our security deposit account. So we can see those separately. The money, obviously, that's in our checking, we can use if we need to, because their event is going to happen, and unless there's a force majeure that causes us to cancel their wedding and not be able to prevent it or perform it at all, then they won't get that money back. But the security deposit they will get back even if we do perform their wedding. So we don't want to spend that. So ultimately, just a quick note there that if you are doing any sort of deposits, it's really smart to have a separate bank account. It doesn't cost you anything. It just takes a few minutes to set it up, and we just transfer the money right on our online banking. It's super easy. So the last thing I want to talk about today is the most exciting part, and I'm so excited to share this with you guys. We have been taking bookings now since March 1st. So it is July 5th today, so just over 4 months. And our goal for our entire first year of booking weddings and our sales projections that we presented to our bank was 37 weddings and 4 corporate events. That was our goal for the first year. And I am excited to announce that as of last Friday, we have officially booked 37 weddings in just 4 months. So we have hit our entire first year goal in 4 months, and there's not even a building yet. We honestly are so excited. We're blown away. We've actually created a stretch goal now of 70 weddings. So our first year, instead of doing 37, we want to do 70. You may say, how do we come up with 37? I don't know. When I was doing my sales projections initially, I got out a calendar and I said, oh, we'll probably do a wedding this weekend, this weekend, this weekend. And it added up to 37. That's how we got to it. But anyway, the point is we've smoked it. And those are all in our first full year. So October of 2021 all the way through December of 2022. So far, we have 37 events booked. And several of those events actually booked the entire weekend. So they're 3-day events. So we're really excited. From a numbers standpoint, including bar packages and other amenities, that 37 weddings that we booked has generated over $460,000 in revenue for our venue in just 4 months. Now, I say that not to brag, but to let you guys know that when we started this project a year ago, we had no idea what was going to happen. In fact, you've been on this journey with us. You've seen these videos. This is the first video I'm posting since we started taking bookings, and I'm excited to share success with you guys. There's not even a building yet, and we've booked so many events, and our clients are happy, and they are excited, and so are we. And honestly, I'm so excited to share this victory with you guys because it's just the beginning, and we've got so many more updates coming for you guys over the next few months as the Haven gets completed and things start coming into fruition from a standpoint of the actual building itself. We are excited to share more project updates, and I'll keep you posted. But today, I wanted to cover all of that inside, behind the scenes, how we're running our business side of things. If you guys have any questions, please comment down below. Again, I respond to every single comment that you guys leave on any of our videos, so I'd love to talk more in depth. And I'm really excited that you guys decided to check out our channel. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a great rest of the week.